All right. With this, we'll call to order the meeting of the Fairfield Public Library Board of Trustees at 7:05 p.m. Uh, First item of business is, excuse me, while I pull up my packet, which got closed, is the roll call. So we'll start Stephanie Bersari. Stephanie, can you hear us?
Yeah,
Oh.
here. Sorry, I was on mute.
I was sorry, I had the other screen up. So, uh, May Bayer,
Here.
Aaron Harrigan,
Here.
John Capasso,
Here.
and Peter Wilner is not attending. And that reminds me, Scott, let's talk later this week. All right. So next item of business will be our approval of public comment. If there is it, I assume there's none in the room. There does not appear to be any on the call either. So with that, we'll move to the approval of the minutes from last month. Does anybody have any any edits or amendments to the minutes from last month's meeting? If not, do we have a motion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the January minutes of the Fairfield Public Library Board of Trustees.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All right, so moved. With that, we'll go to my very brief chairman's report. Sorry, I can't be there in person. I am under the weather, so I will keep it as brief as that. uh, Hopefully, everyone's been staying warm. That's all I'll say. And I'll hand it over to Scott for library updates.
Okay, so January set the tone for an exciting year at the Fairfield Public Library, marked by dynamic programming, community engagement, and operational advancements. Adult services kicked off with a successful healthcare enrollment fair, a sold-out quilting series, and vibrant book clubs featuring Copability, the One Book, One Town selection, which now has unlimited digital access. Children's programming shown with the Escape from Silman's Mansion escape room, which was like the coolest thing we do every year. Stephanie, our children's librarian at Woods, does this at the main library. This year was really, really great. This drew over 200 participants and just was really, really popular. Teens stayed engaged through hands-on workshops, popular take and makes, and a bustling teen space. During midterms, the library was slammed. Beyond the scenes, IT advanced system upgrades, circulation promoted reading initiatives, despite staffing challenges, and technical services streamlined operations. The custodians and myself tackled repairs and improvements with DPW, and also prioritized safety, security, and outreach. Responding to incidents, we had a few incidents in January, and at the same time doing community outreach and strengthening ties there. With winter programs, reading challenges, and Bruce Hossinger's OBOT author visit on the horizon, the library is poised for another impactful year, and February is definitely busy if we can all stay healthy. And really the only other thing of note is that we had some serious issues with snow removal in the parking lots. Woods was down probably 7 or 8 parking spots because of the way they packed the snow in. And then the main library was probably down 4 or 5 parking spots. We finally, a few weeks later, after me harassing everybody, got the snow removed. But it's going to impact our numbers for this month, just because there's nowhere to park to begin with. Now there was definitely nowhere to park, and I know there were people who didn't come to programs because of that.
Yeah.
Can I ask oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is there a change in the parking lot, like the below parking lot where you can take the stairs up? All those signs I don't know how new they are, and I don't know exactly what they mean, but it's like very discouraging to park there. Like I tried
So
to
they
park there and I circled back because I wasn't sure. It made me think you can't park there for the library anymore.
We don't know. We haven't asked. I stopped parking there, which has really been a pain for me because I'm parking on the street and just hoping I can find it. Um, I'll drive through tomorrow to see if the signage has changed. I know that there was some signage that said for patients only, like right behind the
Mhm.
medical.
Yeah, I think I don't know how new, but since within the last couple of months, there's huge signs there now that didn't
Oh
used to be
wow.
there. I forget exactly what they say, but it
I park over there. I think that they say patient parking only, and even employees of those medical buildings used to park there, and they're not allowed to park there anymore either, $100 fine. But if you notice, there is a sign when you're going up the stairs that says no library parking. So there never was parking allowed in there.
oh,
But of course, after hours, it's totally fine, and on the weekends, it's fine. But yeah, they're really strict about it. I guess they had complaints from their patients as we have from our patrons.
right.
So where I park is way in the back, like down towards Sinclair and the funeral home.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, the new signs make it seem like maybe they're really cracking down.
Yeah, they're very scary.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry for the tangent.
That's okay.
Oh, good to bring up. Scott, can you talk more about the unlimited digital access piece
That
for
probably will be
culpability?
more Jan than me. You want to talk about the unlimited digital access piece for One Book, One Town?
Sure. So this is the second year in a row that we've been able to negotiate a deal with Overdrive and the publisher. I guess it's the publisher that allows it um, to have either an unlimited quantity or a discounted rate on the digital quantities for the One Book, One Town. And it's very reasonable what we're paying.
Good. I think that's something just for everyone, as we talk about it at One Book, One Town, uh, you know, hopefully everyone's able to to check it out, but in case they're not, just to communicate that, for accessibility purposes, just to continue to push that it makes it very, very easy for people to get access to the book.
I think we have like 100 people can be using it at the same time, which is not the typical model in
Yeah.
overdrive. It's really good.
Okay, great. Yeah, just something to continue to, as you're talking to people at One Book, One Town, just for all the trustees, just something to keep in mind. But no, that's great. That is great stuff. All right. So we'll move into the quarterly statistics.
So there was a sheet in your packet with some of the highlights that circulation was down a little bit in the second quarter, but it was record-breaking attendance in the first quarter. So we would expect it to be down after summer reading. And then we're still up over last year, and not too bad with the 3-year average, but a little bit down from that. Little bit, tiny bit. That's door count and circulation. Programming was up for adult programming, down for children's, of course, because of summer reading again. The teen programs held steady with a slight drop in attendance, but nothing to worry about really. It's 104 to 105, so that's really nothing. So the total programs, the number of programs were down 2%, but attendance was up 15% from last year's Q2. So we're pretty pleased with this. I did add a new stat for new library cards created, and
Oh, that's great.
the summer we did 953 cards during summer reading, which is
Wow.
like unbelievable. I didn't on the sheet. The last summer was not included, but it was 747. So we're up quite a bit from that. Yeah, summer reading was really
That's
key.
great.
Any questions? On the bottom there, you can see that we're doing less virtual programming, no surprise there. And off-site programs mostly take place in the fourth quarter when they go out to schools and weather's a little better.
Jan, out of curiosity, what do you think? What do you think is driving the lower circ numbers?
Just I don't know. What I think for that quarter particularly is
For
because
Q2 in particular.
we didn't have the books that we normally have because of the Baker and Taylor's going out of business. We
Gotcha.
didn't get books on time for months, so it was very sad. Like we usually pride ourselves in having the latest available as soon as it's published. We weren't able to supply that.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay. And we're aware of that. No.
I'm struck that there's only about a 2,000 person difference in the attendance and programming between Maine and Woods. I'm just calling that out because I think it reinforces as we continue talking about Woods and its needs that it's really not a dramatic difference in how that space is being used over our much larger centralized location. So I'm just struck by that. I think I'm surprised to see it so close, perhaps.
Yeah, and they don't have as much staff there to be doing programming either, so did you get big numbers from down under?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it also supports because a lot of those numbers are
And there's
teens.
story time also, Nancy's chiming in.
Yeah, I think that really, makes a good I think that makes him asked about the addition of the teen librarian staff member. I think those numbers definitely show that it was necessary to add that person to the staffing model there.
Yeah, you're highlighting what I didn't even zone in on, which is that the teen participation at Woods is higher than at Maine. That was what I was focused on. So yeah, thanks for calling that out.
Well, if you look at teen program attendance, the previous 3-year average and the last 2 quarters, it's like so much more in these last 2 quarters because we do have that teen librarian there now at Woods. That really drives that. Plus, a lot more kids have been coming to Maine as well.
Yeah. Great. Any other questions with regard to the quarterly statistics? All right. So we'll move on to the policy review. Our review for this month is the facilities use policy. Scott,
Wait, there's Andrew.
Oh no. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's 2 other things that I wanted to give an update on.
Okay.
One is the Fairfield Woods study update.
Oh, okay.
Board of Selectmen accepted the funds from the trustees on Wednesday night. Board of Finance did it on Thursday night, so I had to go before both within 2 days, but it was very good. Both groups had nothing but positive things to say about the library. Both sides of both sides of the room love the library. They like to tell us that. It will now need to be presented to the RTM on the 17th, and then they vote on it the 23rd, and then the next step is to go back before the Board of Selectmen, and they need to approve the contract. So right now, the process is they've agreed to taking your money. So once they've all agreed on taking your money, then they have to go back and they have to agree on the contract. But I think they're already sold on the idea. I'm hoping that will be on the agenda for March 2nd. Once that happens, we sign and we're ready to go and we're ready to move forward.
Great.
Update on the town budget. We've presented our draft budget to the first select person, the town's chief and the town's chief financial officer. They're currently reviewing the budget in its entirety, so the entire town budget, and reach out to department heads. This is what they said at the department head meeting last week. They'll be reaching out to department heads to make changes. So I'm waiting to hear from them. I'm waiting to be scheduled for a meeting with them We'll see. If not, that would be good. We're within the threshold that they want to stay moving, if there is any increase. And just remember, the Board of Selectmen will review the town budget on the 23rd. So 23rd, we'll kind of know what the select person's budget is. They'll discuss it there. Hopefully they pass it there. And then the next step is the finance board. And then the step after that is the RTM. So we're hoping for at least our part of the budget, things will go relatively smoothly. I think we were very cautious. Jan and I worked on that budget a bunch, a lot of yelling, a lot of back and forth, a lot of crunching numbers. And I think we brought to them a very sensible budget.
I can only imagine Jan. She's such a firecracker. That's great. I could never imagine it, Jan. No, that's great. And then that's fantastic. As always, as we go through the process, just continue to let us know if there's anything you need support from the board on, either in person or in spirit.
Yeah, I mean, if I see any, just like I said last year, if I see any possible turbulence, it would be great to get a letter from the Board of Trustees. If it's strong turbulence, to have somebody at the table with Jan and I is always really helpful. I think one thing that's good about the Woods process is they're starting to understand the difference between you guys and the Friends. We're using it as a way to educate them because it seems like everybody gets both groups confused. So that's kind of been good. We made sure to put in our presentation the difference between the two, the worth of both groups and the difference between the two groups.
Great. Now I'm once again realizing we have a typo on our agenda. The policy review is the photography policy.
Yeah.
Not facilities use. In the packet, you mentioned that there's no suggested changes. Anything else you want to mention about it, Scott?
No, I mean, the good news is we've not had to use it. Knocking, I don't know if my desk at home is wood or not. We haven't really needed to use it or enforce it. There's been a couple times we've needed to speak to students and just say, hey, you can't film, your TikToks with, in the periodical room with people behind you. Most people are very responsive. Black Rock Church was walking around and needed to be spoken to. They were asking for testimonials. They stayed outside the building, but I did have to explain to them that they couldn't approach library patrons and they couldn't film library patrons. That's really been the only time I've really, really had to bring up the policy. But I think the way it's written is pretty clear, and it again, if we have to use this for like First Amendment auditors, they're going to challenge it. So no policy is perfect in that regard. But I think for, people, we've had people who've requested to do photo shoots in the library, and we've given them the policy and said, this is the policy. I, as the library director, can give you permission. Can we do it half an hour before the library opens? Or, can we do it during, a slow time? There was one time a photographer, they just ended up taking pictures in the memorial. We just kind of ushered them in there and they were more than happy just to use that space.
Gotcha. All right. So everybody take a look at it. If any questions do come up, you bring it up at the next meeting, but otherwise we will get it back on the next, you guys will get it back on the next time it comes up. Every time, Scott. All right. With that, we'll move into our committee liaison reports. Starting off with fundraising committee. I think Stephanie, I don't know if you have any updates, but I did know one thing we were talking about was with the Mr. Lurchin for the mural. I want to see if there's any update with that.
Yeah, actually, we've made some good progress. Mr. Lurchin did call me back. I called him back, and then I followed up by email and asked him to save the date for a ribbon cutting of the mural, which the library staff has set for Sunday, April 19th at 2 p.m., which will kick off Library Week. And we'll be putting together a guest list that includes the Friends board, that includes, of course, Mr. Lurchin and his family. That includes, as Jan and I talked about, some additional donors, especially those who have funded the programming over time. Jan has offered kindly to put together a list of donors that have contributed 3 years in a row to the library, and to provide me, and maybe you and I could perhaps work together on researching, but we'll get the names, the annual amounts that they've given, their total amounts, if there's a particular program area they have funded, and then if there's a particular staff contact or friend contact or anybody in our local working group here that knows them. And we'll just start to do some research to see who is out there that we can be holding close and bringing closer, using the ribbon cutting on the 19th as part of a longer term strategy. Sort of see this as an entry into some really intentional donor stewardship, as we build a base for additional contributions and fundraising associated with ideally the build of woods.
Great. Stephanie, I will give you a heads up. The 19th is the Sunday after Fairfield has spring break. So some people may be so I'll probably be returning from spring break at that point, just so you're aware.
Okay. So Scott and Jan, I don't know if that impacts our thinking there. You can bring it back to the staff, I suppose.
There's no good day. There's never a good day.
There's never a good day.
Yeah.
It's more of just in the planning of all of this and in the who's able to make it or not. That just be aware.
Yeah. Good point.
I think that. Sorry, I'm just looking at the calendar. Also, just making sure it's not early Easter this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, just so you are aware.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it'll sort of temper our expectations.
Yeah, not to be Debbie Downer.
Look, I've got a senior in high school and she's an athlete, so she can't go anywhere. So I don't go anywhere. So it didn't even register. But I'm really feeling good about, the collaboration, and that we're going to, start to bring some folks back, and really be acknowledging their support. So
that's great.
There may be roles for each of us at that, as we start to bring them closer again.
Perfect.
That's great. Stephanie, if you want to loop me in on anything, happy to help. That sounds great.
Good. Thank you.
I had a quick question about the donor list. I think that's a great start. Would that be including people who have done like a Friends membership for the past 3 years, or is this specifically separate donations?
No, Mike, I'm looking at you. I think that, and especially since Scott, you made the point too, that you are working on distinguishing, the value and acknowledging the value and the difference between our two organizations. There will certainly be a time when together we'll start to work. I just feel like it's probably important that we acknowledge those who have given directly to the library. Danielle and the board work closely with their own donors for Friends. And I feel like we just haven't done that from the library side, the trustee side. So keeping those separate for now, unless Mike, you have anything that you would disagree with or offer to this.
No, I think certainly as awareness improves between who we are, who the trustees are, and whatnot, I think as donors, if donors understand the difference, donors become a little more somewhat educated on what they're giving money to and why. So I think going forward, it'd be nice to have both entities put in front of donors, and which aligns more with what you do as a supporter of the public health of the library.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is, like I said, a very first step toward an overall developing, to be developed strategy.
Great. Great.
Well, I'm
Next.
sorry, I was on
Oh,
mute. I just want to add one thing. I mean, we do want to think about, as the Woods project develops. Um, I think we need to have a conversation with the friends, but also the trustees have to think about some type of capital campaign. We
yeah.
have money, and I said this to the finance board the other night when I told them how much you all had, and they were actually more receptive than I expected, which is I gave them, we don't want to spend down an entire endowment. Money makes money. I explained to them that you guys have funded the strategic plan, that you have funded, all these other things, that you have a budget every year. So, we probably do want to think about, using kind of what the work that Stephanie and Jan are doing and May are doing right now. And that's kind of a springboard in a couple years or in a year to really do some capital campaigning. And I don't envision us raising so much money that we pay for the project, but I think you'll get more support around the project if you do a capital campaign. And again, I don't want to see the trustees spend down their entire, what they have in investments. So I think it's important for us to think about that moving forward.
What I got.
No, I agree. No, I agree with that, Scott. I think there's, previously part of the reason why we had this this discussion was because we supported uh, the bond payments for 20 plus years ago, um, which did allow us to, spread that out quite a bit. So I think as we, in addition to the raises, things like that, how we can, what other tools are at our disposal potentially as well.
And and I think we should explore using that same model. And I think the town is open to it, exploring that same model for anything we do with this project. I think it would be smart for us to bond
Yeah.
and then pay that bond down as opposed to just, significantly reducing your holdings.
Yep. No, it's good to know. Good to know. And that leads right into the building committee. I don't think we have, I think basically we've covered off on everything that we need to address this. They've aligned to take our money. uh, and unless, John, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think Scott summed it up. I appreciate
Great.
that. Yeah.
Great. All right, then I'll hand it over to Mike.
Well, if everyone was in the room right now, you'd be holding in your hand the flyer for Laughs at the Library, the sequel. Tickets are for sale right now, so book your spot, book your table. QR code is easily accessible. We're looking forward to it. We've got a brand new headliner, a little more prominent than the previous one, so we're anticipating a good crowd. Tell your friends. We're excited about it. It's Friday, March 6th from 7 till 9. The ticket price, we bumped it up a little bit just because the demand last time was pretty strong. We bumped it from 25 to 35, but that $35 ticket price is an all-in price, so no fees. So I think our fans will be appreciative of that a little bit. Other than that, that looks really, we're quite excited about it. Matt Orifice did a great job with on the comedy side, putting together a good lineup. Scott, as always, is super helpful, and we're just simply marketing it now. So please, if you see it on social media, like and share, and get your tickets. They're going to go fast.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Busy time for us. Jennifer Butler fashion show on
library will be closing in 25 minutes. If you need a library card or special assistance, please come to the circulation desk now. Just a reminder, the Wi-Fi will shut down in 10 minutes at 7:45.
Jennifer Butler Fashion Show on March 26th at the Thursday night from 6:30 to 9. That's here in the library for the first time in a while at night. So bit of a change there. We're anticipating kind of that kind of party feel we brought to the mini golf at night event at the library. Danielle did a wonderful thing with our Valentine's Day gift bundles. It's books, it's other merch and whatnot. It got a little attention from the Connecticut Library Association, which we're happy about that. People continue to take notice of what we do, and they enjoy it. So if you're looking for a nice Valentine's Day gift, simply come here and pick one up. A couple changes to the book sale. As I've been mentioning the past few meetings, the book sale has been getting much more popular. We're going to expand the book sale to become a book and media sale. We're going to sell CDs and vinyl. If anyone has CDs that like get rid of, vinyl records get rid of, before show the vinyl to Scott and I so we can screen out the good stuff. But otherwise, yeah, we're just looking to boost up some of our popular events and just by giving it a little bit of a twist. So that'll be coming up soon. Obot, nothing I can add to pretty much the highlight of the year. I think that book is a huge hit. I certainly enjoyed it, and we're all looking forward to the big event. That's pretty much it. April is mini golf. One thing that kind of goes under the radar a little bit is our concerts here, the sound concerts, Soundview concerts. They're always packed. They're always enjoyable. People come out for it. And if you ever have a chance to attend one, they're really enjoyable, and it's a nice event, and it shows off the library in its best sense. It's here in the Memorial Room. It looks great, and people will really enjoy it. Community art show is wrapping up, big success. It was great opening reception. Liz Tardif does a wonderful job managing the Kirshner Gallery, and as always, the community show is a big hit. That's it for me. So last of the library, March 6th, Friday night, 7 till 9. Get your tickets.
Great. Mike, for mini golf, are you guys plan on doing the evening?
Day and night. Day and night. Yep. Day for the kids, night for whatever you want to do.
It was so much fun last year. I'm not kidding you. We had, my husband and I came and had, I got to tell you, the best time.
Yeah.
It helps that I got 4 holes in one.
Yeah. We have 2 new people working directly with us. Town residents, relatively new to town. Danielle kind of recruited them. One woman is a Google executive. She wants to give back to the town. She wants to get involved in this kind of thing. She's going to be sort of spearheading, getting the word out, getting people excited about it and attending. So again, we're looking forward to a big event.
Great. This is all fantastic stuff. A lot of stuff going on in the next month or so. Fantastic. All right. Any other questions for Mike? Thank you again, Mike. With that, we'll move to the treasurer's report. Aaron?
Yep. All right, so the endowment is up to about 12.5 million at the end of January. The good news is that I finally have access to all the accounts. On the Mercer advisor is able to give me access to all the accounts on the Vanguard site, I guess is the way it's supposed to work. But which is good. Just as of last week, he was able to get me access to all those accounts. That's fantastic news. My question, probably more so for Jan than anyone else, we can nickname this new account to whatever makes sense for us. We could simply make it the Simcoe Special Purpose Fund, Simcoe Fund. I guess it depends on if we want to ever add another type of special purpose fund to the same account. We don't have to decide today, but he said just like we have The other accounts, they get basically like a 5-digit letter name from Vanguard, but we've named one the Memorial Fund, one the Jennings. So when we get the statements, it's just easier for tracking that you know what these are when you're looking at statements and online quickly. So if there is a preference of a name, we can get that added as a nickname on the account, which I think is helpful.
Yes, definitely. It's good news.
Great.
So if we want to decide now and call it, maybe keep it broad and call it special purpose fund, or specifically attach it to Simco. Does anyone have a preference?
I mean, I would say probably special purpose,
Okay.
but I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know what everyone else.
I agree with you. It gives us more expansive use for it, but also it's telling us exactly what it is, special purpose, without being tied specifically to a name.
Yeah.
I concur.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll let the advisor know. It did not sound like something we set in stone, but we should, again, it's good that we agree and we can put the naming convention on it now. So again, for statements and log on purposes, we can track this.
Yep. Perfect.
So that is
Great.
all my updates for today.
Great. I'm glad you got access to the accounts. That's
Yeah.
always helpful. All right. We now move into the reconciliations and check registry. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review. We'll see if there's any questions with regards to any of the checks or the reconciliations.
Yeah, I have one question. I assume I know what it is. The Lenovo payment, that's for computers, I assume.
Yep, I think so.
Yes. New laptops for Woods, wasn't it? Yeah, for Woods. Their
Okay.
laptops that they had were sorely out of date and couldn't be updated.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Do it.
that was identified, I think, last month with because we went through the Windows update. Everything got pushed from Windows 10 to Windows 11.
Yeah.
And those ones, which that is, I think we did have money within the that falls under our furniture budget, so we can support with that.
We viewed it as a capital expense. We kind of went back and forth about it internally, and I would make the argument that the town should be paying for that, but the head of the town IT says since it's being used for programs, then maybe it's something that should be paid for by the friends. And then there was a whole discussion, and Jan and I yelling at each other, I finally acquiesced. And she had the brilliant idea of using trustee money and made the good argument that it was a capital expense, and I hiding under my desk said yes.
From now on, all communications will be via telephone, even though your office is right next door to mine. No more yelling.
Any other questions? Two out of date. If there are no other questions, do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that the Library Board of Trustees approve the January reconciliations and pending February checks.
I'll second.
All in favor? So moved. All right. With that, we will move into old business. The town librarian annual assessment. Scott, I know you've put here a sample from, I believe it's Darien,
Yes.
of the assessment they've done. I think this is a good a good starting point for us. What I will do is take this and put it into, I think, as we've done before, put it into a Google Sheet that we can work collaboratively on, and we'll set our meeting. Is this just asking the question? Is this the same form you would do your self-evaluation with?
Yes.
Okay. Let me look through this and just make sure everything's covered off on. Because I think, as we've talked about, like even when you went through and did your other responsibilities that maybe are not your responsibilities, uh, there may be additional things that we want to make sure are covered off on this because of what all you do, so that we're capturing everything. So I'll take a look and we can align on this, and then yeah, we will. I'll send out a note to figure out a time for all of us to connect to conduct the assessment.
I mean, it can be done in executive session.
Yep.
If you all are going to be in the same room, it can be on a special meeting, and just in the special meeting, go into executive session, discuss what you need to discuss, and
Yep.
then come out.
Yep. Trying to imagine. I think we'll probably do. Yeah, we'll figure out if it's gonna be in person or we'll coordinate schedules.
Yeah.
Yes, I will send a note out with that. And then next item under old business is the electrical box wrap, which we have already approved. Scott, do you want to speak or?
Sure. So the
Anyway.
attached, there are only 2 documents, not 4. It's the examples of the electrical box artwork that have been proposed. You all voted on last fall to fund the installation. Now, while the Art Commission will make the final decision on which artist to recommend, they would appreciate input from the trustees. So I actually have there's a proposed motion. I'd like for you guys to at least make a strong proposal of which piece that you would prefer.
Well, seeing as one of them has several elementary schools, not including mine, you you know where I'm leaning.
I agree with you.
You're gonna have Osborne, Holland Hill, Riverfield, Byrne, Tomlinson, and not Sherman. Come
And not
on,
Stratfield, which
and
is
not
right next
Stratfield.
door to the Woods Library.
I know.
I'm a proponent of the more colorful ones.
Yes, I think it grabs the attention. I mean, that's. I'm gonna back off as as I came out a little hot and just get everyone
And
else's
you
thoughts.
can go to the Green and see the one they did at the Green, which looks fantastic. It really, I mean, some of my favorite graffiti is on the one that they're covering, but other than that, it's gonna look really, really good, and I think it's a nice way. I mean, my son could identify what the box is, what it does, where it's in code, because we had that discussion about one the other night when we were randomly driving. But I mean, they're a necessity, but they're a little bit of an eyesore, especially in front of a building like the library. So I think the Art Commission's doing a fantastic thing, proposing these projects. So
Yeah, and I think the colorful is a little bit more arresting, if you will.
pops a little more.
Yep. Any other feedback? John, May, Aaron, strong opinions?
No strong opinions. I agree with the colorful. I was just looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. Oh, go ahead.
So it's between these 2 colorful options. These are just different sides of the same. This
No, I think it's the Harry Potter themed one, and
is
then the
the
colorful one.
right. Oh, so the colorful one is one option, or are there two colorful
Yeah.
options that I'm looking
One
at?
option.
Oh, okay. So it's showing all the different sides.
Pages, it's 3 pages.
I see from all different angles. I like the colorful one too.
I'm trying to look to see what names on the files, and I didn't. So trying to figure out which artist is which.
When we say the colorful one, just so I'm looking at the same thing, I feel like I'm having the same issue May is. We're looking at the page that has three black and white images and a fourth one that says readers today, leaders tomorrow.
I think that's one option. It's also
Yes.
presented very differently, which makes it hard to compare.
The next three are the different views and how they would fold, I think.
Yeah, the renderings.
But the other rendering is much more dynamic.
So this is one. That's one.
Yep.
It's 3 pages.
So Jan, what's the name in the lower left corner?
That one's Justine Sullivan.
Justine Sullivan. Yep. And
Christian.
where'd the other one go?
Kristen Bagley.
This one. Oh, wait, Sherry. It was hard to imagine. Okay. This one is the other. That's all. It's just the one page.
So all of these 4 images would be on 4 different sides of the box
Yep, and the top.
and the top.
Yep.
Doesn't seem detailed as the other
Oh, and it's hard
presentation.
not on the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other one, just with the way it also, the layout seems a little more thought through as well.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. I think including only some of the schools is. But I'm sure that would be feedback we could go back to them and ask them to include.
Yeah, they
all.
would have to add them all if they added. I mean, that's 11 schools, right? If we do elementaries.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot.
But it's definitely strange to include some of them.
Yeah. It's clever. I think the other one is also just a little bit more generic, which is somewhat good as well. But that's just me. So Scott, just process-wise, feedback to the art commission. How do we want to do this?
I mean, you can. I threw in a motion to say, but if you guys just want to, if you want to consent, kind of, I can just say, hey, it seemed like the board was more for this one than that one.
I mean, it would be nice if they could add something. Maybe I missed this. Apologies. That says Fairfield on it in this, like Fairfield Public Library in these purple and to customize it a bit. So like this image, but throw the Fairfield Public Library logos or name or something in there to make it more.
I'm sure we could
customized.
Suggest that. I mean, to this artist that we're looking at right now, to their they did their research.
So these are the colors, right?
Yeah, they use their color palette, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't know if it would be wrong to I think it's a good idea to ask
It
if
only
they can just
has,
throw FPL in there somewhere.
Mhm.
yeah, or even a logo somewhere.
Yeah.
Or even what's the little guy's name? Scout? What's his name?
Scout, yeah.
Yeah,
Scout.
have Scout because right now the
Yeah.
only thing that's in there is like FFLD on the green panel.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just throw the logo, throw Scout in there somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. I will tell Mark that's kind of the feeling.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean we could do the motion. Um, if you want to make it official.
That would be good.
Uh, yeah, that way it's in the notes. Somebody want to make a motion?
Quick process wise, does that mean that the Arts Commission then communicates with the artist our suggestions? Where do
I
they
think
go?
so. I think Mark, a Mark who kind of as the economic development director, he is the me of the Arts Commission. So I think he'll have a conversation with the artist about making those adjustments.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
I move that the Library Board of Trustees suggest the design by Justine Sullivan with some proposed adjustments to the Fairfield Arts Commission.
Great. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor? All right. So moved. All right. With that, we'll come into the Library of Things user agreement, which I know we had reviewed previously. Wanted to just get another set of eyes on this. Scott, anything to call out in addition to what's in the packet?
No, not really. I mean, I think this is pretty standard. Our goal is to start working on loaning more stuff before June. We know I have shared that the board president this is a something they want to go out on. So we're gonna April, May, look at cataloging and get some material out. We think we'll have some yard games out in the next few months. So you can hang your hat on that, Andrew.
Thanks,
That's one of
Andrew. Thanks for pushing
one.
that.
uh, so that and Woods. The Woods is one I knew I was never going to get through my own term, but uh excuse me. No, this is great. Anybody have any questions with regards to? We have reviewed this before. We went back and forth on this. Any questions with regards? We've talked about. I think we can, as the program gets up and running, it could be continue to be revised as necessary as things become aware of certain situations or things we need to call out explicitly in there. Um, so, but I think we're in a good spot for the time being.
Scott, is there a
Great.
system in place for tracking the annual renewal?
Renewal of
The borrower's agreement must be renewed annually. Is it going to be treated like
yeah, it'll be in the ILS. It'll be attached to their library card.
Cool. Okay.
Yep.
So, and we just hired a new adult services librarian, and she's very excited about doing stuff with both the maker space and the library of things. So that also kind of rejuvenated, and she has some cataloging background. So probably the big thing that's kind of stopped this is the cataloging of this material is pretty difficult, where it's like outside the box thinking. So that'll help with that. So I think the staff are really excited to kind of get this moving again.
Great. Great. All right. With that, we'll move into the code of conduct, which feels like we're in a good spot with it now. Anything from the attorney that you want to share, Scott, to call out, or
he pulled perfume from smells. I didn't push back on that one. I don't know. That was the only thing that was the only substantive change that kind of, I think that's helpful to staff to pull that to kind of pull that out in a situation, but he did pull it out. So I tried.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better to just keep it more general.
Yeah.
That was one of the issues we had with it as well. I mean, this was one of the sections that we were
Yeah.
discussing.
Is it worth adding to use or enjoy the library? Because no, okay, I'm watching your face.
Yeah, I think enjoy is it's too open to interpretation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would stand up legally.
If you feel like this gives your staff enough, then I don't quibble. I just don't know that. I mean, I'm still going to use the library even if I don't like the smell.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But there are, we do get complaints from the public. So
I think it does. Sorry, I'm just looking. So he took him. Those are his red lines?
yeah. I didn't realize they didn't show up in the packet. I didn't look.
That's all right.
So I just gotta figure out a new way to make the PDFs so that they show up with the red lines. Not sure why that didn't happen. Hey, Jane, is there anybody in the waiting room?
Not now. There's supposed to be another person.
There should be a few people joining us now.
Well, Melissa and Suzanne and you don't see the two that.
If your attention, please, the library is now closed. The library will be open tomorrow from 9 to 8.
Melissa and Suzanne have joined us.
Okay, excellent.
Great.
You see them?
I don't, but I see them.
I do. Yeah.
I had to just click an arrow.
All right. Sorry, I'm just looking at.
Did you want to see that again?
No, I think it's fine.
It just looks like.
Does anybody need to see the? Yeah, I think the sleeping one makes sense. Service animals is obvious. It's actually probably better that it's sexually explicit rather than pornography. What time for my wife to have walked by when I'm talking about that.
So with that one, are we suggesting then that you can go ahead and view sexually explicit material?
Yeah, I think this makes it sound like as long as it's not disrupting anyone, it's okay.
Right.
Let's make it sound.
Is there anything about, not on library
Yeah, that is a good
equipment?
Point. Yeah, can we? Okay, so seeing that change, I think I was so stuck on the perfume. Seeing that change, I'm going to actually suggest that the board tables this.
Yeah.
And let me go back because the town has, I believe the town's policy is you can't view pornography on their network. So this is not life or death. So let me go back to Phil and say, hey, this is kind of what we got stuck on.
Of course, the balance on this is like, who's defining what sexually explicit is? If you're looking at a book with diagrams in it that is of bodies, are we now opening ourselves to a materials review?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, let me go back and have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, there are in our arts collection, there are some paintings in those books, which, could be considered sexually explicit. So I'm going to go back. I'd rather us use, since pornography is defined, has a clear definition, I'm going to go back and push back on him a little bit on getting.
So Scott, just putting it out there, when we went through the book challenge, there were people that said this is pornographic. And, there isn't there.
Yeah, and I think using, saying pornographic, there's a legal definition to that.
Is there?
I think
I don't know.
No, because it's almost famously there's a Supreme
Almost
Court
not.
Right. It
decision
says,
of I don't know, I know what pornography is when I see it.
right.
So it's actually it may be even, and that's where yeah, go back to him and just ask about. There is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a legal definition. You can double check, but I'm pretty sure it's not a legal definition, and that's why sexually explicit, and that's why it's if you say it in a manner that is disruptive, it may give more cover uh, for the staff, in that if somebody, let's say, somebody who disagrees with a particular book, sees that a teenager is in possession or reading it, may say that is being viewed, and it's not it's not a disruption per se. So, just we could table it.
Yeah.
Take it back to town attorney, and we'll discuss in the next one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
As you say, not life and death right now.
Not life and death. We've got a comparable policy in place that we can follow that has worked. So, another month, I think we should be fine.
Yeah.
And this is our most important policy. I mean, this is like the one to rule them all. So let's get this one right.
I was going to go into the whole Lord of the Rings thing, but yeah. Like, King's a man, all that. I think the other thing, just with regards to odors, I think, and Stephanie, I want to just touch with you on this one, is it doesn't seem derogatory in the wording.
No, it's okay with me. That it was the addition of the perfume was meant to counteract
Yes.
what would otherwise be considered offensive bodily smells. And that's where I took issue. So the inclusion of both of them made me feel better, and the exclusion of both of them is equally fine. And I'm also grateful for the addition of, if there's a disability or some support can be provided. I actually appreciate the addition of that language. Yep. Thanks for checking on that, Andrew.
Of course. All right. With that, we'll table that item of business and cover back on old business next month. With that, we don't have new business, but we do have a presentation. I guess this is technically part of new business. Scott, do you want to make some intros?
Sure. So, as you all know, we did a users needs survey, and Suzanne, who will be doing the presentation, is the academic, is our professor who did this, and Melissa and Ronaldo is with Fairfield University. Melissa, say the exact title, because I always get it backwards.
Sure, we're with the Center for Social Impact at Fairfield U.
And do you want to, Melissa's the director. Melissa, do you want to add anything?
Sure. I mean, I can just give a really quick intro to the center. So we are just down the street. We are in the building downtown at 1720 Post Road. But our focus is really on kind of connecting the academic resources of the university with those of the community to do good work. And one of the ways that we do that is through community engaged research, which my colleague here, Ronaldo, leads. And we partner with community organizations around research questions and projects that they have. And we rely on our faculty and our faculty expertise to help lead those projects. And that's where Suzanne comes in and what you'll be hearing tonight.
Great.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right.
for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Scott, I'll just need someone needs to turn sharing on so I can share my screen for the presentation.
Oh, do you want to share it or do you want me to share it? I have it here.
Oh, if you want, whatever work. It might be easier for me because I can
Right.
move it.
Okay. So I'm gonna make you co-host.
Okay. Oh, I'm a co-host now. Okay, so I am just gonna share our presentation. Um, just so I know, because I'll get all excited about the data and I'll just keep talking about it. Scott, what's my time frame so I can make it fit with all of your schedules?
I leave that to the chair to make that decision.
Well, since everyone's at home already,
Not everybody. I see some people at the library.
well, the board. We got Jan and Nancy that are stuck there, and Mike. I would say if we could do 15 to 20, and then obviously if discussion is robust, or if there's things that we definitely need to cover on, we could go longer.
Okie dokie. All right, so I will do my best to stay to that. And thank you for letting me know because I don't want to go too much in depth. So yeah, so my name is Suzanne Marmo. I am a social worker by trade, but I love me some librarians. So I was really excited to be able to be actually my daughter's studying to be a librarian. She's at Pratt right now, taking her classes. And I was really excited to do this and partner with the Center of Social Impact and Fairfield Public Library. So you all may remember that this survey went out. The open dates of it were from October 17th to December 15th of 2025. Platform was a secure web-based survey done through Qualtrics, and it was approved by the Fairfield IRB. It was a collaborative development, but putting our survey together between the university's Center for Social Impact and the library. And the survey itself was informed by two focus groups that I ran. One with the Friends of the Library, and two with a librarian manager meeting that I went to. Question types were quantitative and qualitative. Our quantitative were our close-ended ones responses, and our qualitative ones were the open-ended responses, which got us some interesting things. Nobody said anything about perfume, but we may see something about that other thing. Okay, participation was voluntary. It was an anonymous survey, and people were allowed to skip any questions, which they did. Okay. So how did we reach the community? We reached it by digital outreach, email invitations, library newsletters, town distribution lists. I think that one got us a big push. You used social media. Then there were flyers, and there, as an added incentive, there was a $350 gift cards that are going to be given away to a bookstore. Okay. So the results. Okay, about 95% of people were town of Fairfield residents. There were a couple of people from Trumbull, Milford, Eastern, and Westport, and actually a couple of people from New York City that apparently use your library as well, and Shelton, looks like. Just a couple of people outside of Fairfield. Mostly we had our 55 to 64, or 55 to 74 age group, where's the size, but I think this is a pretty fair distribution of age groups of people who answered the survey, with, of course, less being in the 18 to 24 market. Okay. Of work and school status, you'll see in the report, this is interesting. This the evolution of the hybrid work is something different from the 2014 survey to this one, that there is much more of the of people that are working full-time hybrid, some of them from home. So that's an interesting change for your users. Mostly people were full-time workers on site, but we do have this nice little emerging of hybrid people and fully remote people, which is a population that may be utilizing the library more. Okay. Predominantly, like Fairfield County is normally primarily people were English speaking only in their households, but there was about 8.8% of multilingual English or non-English spoken in the home. And I just did a little run of actually a lot of diversity in the area of languages spoken in the home. Okay. Uh, almost good representation. Most people were from the main library. They said that they visited most often. And Fairfield Woods had a nice little showing as well. And Pequot just had a small showing. Okay. How often do you visit the library in person? We have several times a month was our biggest category, showing us that, yep, people are still visiting the library, and especially here in Fairfield. Then very nice, but a lower amount of people are coming several times a week. Okay. Reasons for visiting the library in person was a quantitative question with a closed-ended question that came up for us. We'll look more at the numbers here. And it did have an open-ended response in there that of things that I didn't put in there. So those last three on the bottom of arts and cultural exhibits, book sales, and volunteering were write-in responses. So that's pretty significant because people took the effort to put that in there. But, you know, the highest amount of reasons for visiting the library are to borrow books and materials. 82% of the people said that that's why they go to the library, with the next being 26.9% saying adult programs. Just so you know, in this one, the reason why it doesn't add up to 100% is because people could pick more than one of the reasons. I find the qualitative write-in responses to be very, very interesting, and figured I'd at least throw something in there. You know, again, I think these are important because people take the effort to write them in there. A lot of people, including common theme in the write-in category, with number one being library reading and access to information. And this remains the core reason people rely on the library, and anchors pretty much all serve other services, but also bringing in arts, culture, and engagement, youth engagement, community connection, and work in shared spaces was mentioned, but a little bit less. Okay. I think this is a pretty good, showing that the library app is used by about 54% of your patrons that responded to this survey. So it's showing that, yeah, a good amount is using it, but some room for some people to still use it. Did a little bit of a combination of I'll show that in a minute. Then we asked, how often do you visit the library online? And it looks very much like how often they visit in person. So 80%, which is less though, come several times a month, but they're utilizing the website or app more often, it looks like. So if when you compare these together and you look at them together, it kind of looks like that our web and our digital use isn't replacing in-person library use. It's kind of just enhancing it. Okay, at least that's the interpretation I get when I put them next to each other. That, you know, some of our frequent users are using the website or the app more often. So maybe those are heavy library users. And also the never category, I think, is important too. More people less 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 people are not visiting the library in person than they are online. Okay. This was a write-in category about why they visit the library online. And most of it has to do with managing their account, books, searching, catalog. That's some of the reason. Again, I include this because this is an interesting, when they write it in, it's an interesting thing to look at. Okay. If you trying to understand what devices people are using to access library services when they're accessing it online, biggest amount is our smartphones at 66.4%. People are utilizing their smartphones. Again, this could be more than one category. They didn't have to pick one. So anything that they use. So smartphones were the highest, with laptops being second. Okay. Um, Overwhelmingly, people felt that the digital collection meets their needs. 51% that said they did, but 40% said, I don't know. Or that they didn't use the digital connections, but only no said, I mean, 127 people, which is just about 10%, said that it didn't meet their needs, but most people felt it met their needs. When I asked open-ended question, what digital resources or technology services would you like the library to offer in the future? The the highest amount of themes offered in this writing category was improved availability of digital books and audiobooks. I think this was somewhat predicted when I did the focus groups. And the example of quotes are on the side. These are the themes on the left, but the example quotes kind of illustrated a little bit. They would like more digital books, not just one copy. Every book I wanted to read online, library has not had, or there's a wait list, and they're finding that frustrating. I know that there are other barriers to having more digital books, like funding and so forth. Another theme that was quite the second most common theme was that audiobooks are key to accessibility and engagement. A lot of people are using audiobooks a lot now. People saying audiobooks is how I read now. Another person saying that that's helpful for their children to be able to enhance their reading. Some people in this writing category with the digital resources did have something to say about usability and technical barriers, saying that some of the interfaces were a little bit challenging and that sometimes some things didn't work. Another portion of the population that wrote in did ask for some more technology training and user support, and desire for broader digital media and online resources. Some people suggesting wanting to have maybe some newspaper subscriptions, having author talks over Zoom so people could attend them. Mostly is when we talk about programs and services, community members are mostly saying that they utilized adult lectures and author talks, with that book sale being pretty popular as well, and children's programs, cultural and art programs. Reading challenges is up there too. Okay. So what I did is I took those different services that are used, and because they could pick more one, and I looked at and put them between like what were high use services and what were moderate use services. Okay. So we had adult lectures, author talks, children's programs, book clubs, book sales should be up there too. And then maybe moderate was more the cultural arts programs, reading challenges, virtual or online programs. And then the lower use services seem to be the training, technology help, teen programs, career jobs search support, college prep and application support, and ESL language learning. Perhaps maybe looking at this as an opportunity to kind of build those programs because they are lower used. Or maybe that there isn't as much of demand for those. Okay. When we asked, does anything prevent you from utilizing the library as much as you would like? People, the highest category of people said library hours, or their work and school schedule. But right up there was parking. And accessibility was there, and transportation as well, but not as much. Okay. When we went into does the library current hours meet your needs? Most people said yes. But there was a percentage that does want more weekend hours. A little bit of people wanted early hours or later evening hours, but there was this 16.6% that said they needed more weekend hours. I did do a little bit more analysis to see was this coming from just one branch, and it really wasn't coming from one branch. It pretty much was equal. I mean, it very, very little difference, okay, depending on their, we have here with their numbers saying that does it meet, yes, does it meet your needs, the library hours? And the main library was about 77%, Fairfield Woods 77%, and Pequot said 75%. So of the people who answered from those branches, just about the same, very little difference that they felt, yes, the library does meet your needs. And then as far as no, pretty much the same, almost the same. The main library branch, maybe a little bit more like less likely to say that they needed more weekend hours, but still that was apparent. Okay. And then I look specifically at Pequot only just to see if it was them because I think Scott told me that they're not always open on the weekend. How people are finding out about library events. Mostly they're utilizing the library website and the email newsletter, but those flyers and posted notices and digital boards in the library are getting attention as well. There is people utilizing social media as well, less finding out on the app. Okay. When I asked them how would they like to receive their library updates, many more people said the library email newsletter. So that is, they're getting it from the website, but it looks like they would prefer to get it more that from the library email newsletter. Seems like they really like that. With again, so you can see that's a little bit different that they're getting it from the website, but they're saying they would prefer it from the email newsletter. Um, Also liking social media and the flyers. Some people suggested text messages. Okay. This was very nice to see. Support for increased town funding. We got about 76% of people saying yes, only about 20% saying maybe, and only 4% saying no. Okay. To help the Friends of the Public Library know, are people familiar with what they do? 26% were not familiar. 48% were somewhat familiar, but only 26% were very familiar with the organization Friends of the Fairfield Public Library. Okay. This was another question because AI is hot right now. So I did an open-ended question of how could the library help the community learn about or use artificial intelligence? Overwhelmingly, the responses for trying to say what is the library's role in the use of artificial intelligence was that they wanted more classes, workshops, or lectures about it. Okay. And there were some other things as well. But mostly it was like they would like to see more workshops and classes on AI. Okay. Um, Programming formats, they would like to prioritize accessible, flexible learning opportunities for those as well, over any single AI tool or platform. Perhaps maybe in person, virtual, recorded, and then perhaps maybe some AI literacy and responsible use. Okay. This was as close as I got to some sort of diversity question. I just said, did you feel that the library's collections and programs reflect the different interests and backgrounds of the people in the community? Pretty much people said yes or somewhat, or just said they were not sure. Only 2% said no. Okay. However, it is interesting to look into who writes a response to this question. There was an open-ended response that they could say anything they want about does the library's collection and programs reflect the different interests and backgrounds of the people? So what I found here when I did qualitative analysis and looking and gathering for coding and for themes was that we had some high frequency responses and some high intensity concerns that perhaps appeared less often but seemed um, more louder, for lack of a better word. So of the respondents who provide written feedback, concerns about collection breadth and adult programming were most common. That was our high frequency one. Okay. But a notable subset raised high intensity concerns related to ideological balance, child safety, and staff interactions. Okay. So high frequency, these are the areas right here of things they would like to see that they felt could meet the needs of the different people in the community. I'll leave that there. It's in the report as well. And then the high intense themes that we saw, again, less common, but more dynamic. Okay. Speaking right to something that you said, that's in your manual, there was a portion of people that did verbalize, I would like to feel safe that the library would keep sexually explicit materials out of the children's or young adult sections of the library. And they would like to move porn out of the children's book section. Okay. There also was a notable set of people that were offering their opinions that they felt that the library offers books with certain political views and that they couldn't find books with the opposite opinions and arguments. Okay, so fewer respondents raised these themes. Again, remember, these were right in categories, but those who did express strong feelings about them. Okay. Community identified improvement policy. This is the second to last question. What is one improvement you would like to see at the Fairfield Public Library? Parking, parking, parking. Okay. Hours of operation are up there. They'd like parking is above the books that you have there. They again would like a couple of more programs and events and maybe some technology and app usability. So again, looks like from this final survey question, which was just an open one, any other concerns or questions you have for the final Fairfield Public Library? Overall sentiment seems strongly positive about the library in the responses, with residents expressing appreciation for staff, programming, and the library's role as a welcoming community space. Alongside this gratitude, respondents offered some constructive suggestions focused on access, systems, and collections. Okay, two little quotes to show that. Basically, what did the community seem to say from this? Wrapping it all up, they seem to have overwhelming gratitude with some practical suggestions. Okay. Here's one quote. We love the library and everything the librarians and staff do for our community, representing that, gratitude. And then some constructive advice. I know you are constantly trying, but I still find it hard to easily navigate the online catalog and find books I want to read. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. This is fantastic. Great insights. I think we have this all report in our packet, which is great, but always helpful to have you take us through this. Does anybody have any questions for Suzanne or the rest of the team while we have them?
No, thank you very much. It was it was insightful, a number of the things that came out in the survey.
Was anybody surprised by anything? I'm just curious because
Yeah, I guess to me, a couple of things to me, and Scott has told me this and I see it. I guess I just didn't realize the extent, the parking at the main library. I mean, it's so obvious. It's just right there in front of our eyes.
Yes.
I was a little surprised. I go to the main library mainly. I was surprised on how Woods was very comparable to attendance wise. That to me was, and just because I don't go that much. I'm on the other side of town. And yeah, I think those are two things for me at least.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing I had was the online resource that there's, you know, a much there, 8% almost don't use the online at all, which there's a lot that we offer in
Mhm.
addition that I think we continue to talk up what is available. People just seeing the library not just as something that's in their home that they have to go to, but also something they can access with. So Hoopla was on there on the World Cloud and Libby. We also have Canopy. Um, there's quite a bit of things. So that was something that just continuing to push the messaging there. The other thing, and Scott, just something that I noted there, talking about the catalog, the online catalog, since we've changed the ILS system. I assume that's related.
Yeah, it is. And I think we've worked out a lot of um, kinks
Yeah,
since as this was going on, but it is reflective of some of the things that we've struggled with since making the change. So
yeah.
that wasn't a surprise. It was more a disappointing, like, oh God, they're noticing too.
Yes. Yeah. Other than that, no.
I'm not
Stephanie or May or
surprised
Aaron?
by this, but I love that it reinforces the data reinforces what we know about the support of the Friends, right? Like that the Friends support is what helps get our summer program, reading program. It is the museum passes. It's their funding that makes all that happen. So I'm delighted we have this to point to, just as data to back up what we know.
Yeah, I didn't realize your dinner was gonna go on, so I don't know if, I think this is, I ate a bagel while I was. Oh, well, I guess I'll just go out. Sorry.
May.
I do think Suzanne and I had a long conversation about including the concerns about pornography in the library. I do think it's important for us to recognize that people responded that way. And it's also important for the staff and for the trustees to see that, there are still, even though a significant portion of the population is supportive of the way we've handled book challenges, that there will always be a little bit of headwind when it comes to collection development and book challenges in the future.
Yeah.
Those individuals are still out there and they want to be heard. So it's kind of like, all right, that's just a good reminder that we got to make sure we have a strong policy and make sure that our staff are prepared for challenges. But at the same time, kind of take into consideration that what we are, what we are comfortable with is not what everybody in our community is.
Yep. Yep. And yeah. Yes. There are. I think the other thing with some of the collection stuff I don't know if you heard that at all, Scott or Jan or Nancy, of certain, it's called voices are not available in our library.
So yeah, that showed up a little bit in this with a deeper dive. The thing, it is a hard conversation to have. If you saw the material that we purchased and made available, you would see a different story than if you just look on the shelf. Because the problem is some of the voices that individuals in the community want to see on our shelves, they aren't borrowed that often, and they tend to be weeded out because they're not high use sections of parts of the collection. So it's a lot of, because I've been on the desk and I've gotten the test, what do you know who this author is? And do you have the book? It's like, well, yeah, I know who the author is. And yeah, we have one of their books, but we don't have the other ones. We had the other ones and they didn't circulate. So we had to make room on the shelf. Mark Levin, we can't have every Mark Levin book on the shelf because they don't circulate. So
Yeah.
That's going to be, Philip and I talked about this pretty much in depth, where we're really just like trying to figure out, like, how do we explain to people, like, we do purchase these books and they do end up in the collection. They just don't last because they're not used.
Yeah.
And the library isn't a repository. I mean, you could have a, Howard Zinn book. You buy Howard Zinn book, it's every 6 months, it's gonna get borrowed by some rambunctious teenager or someone who's interested in, 60s history. So, we've got all of his books and they're going to stay on the shelf because they get borrowed. Whereas there are some other authors that might be a different political leaning, and we've bought those books and they end up leaving the shelf. They end up staying on the shelf, and because of that, later on leaving the shelf because they end up on the unused list.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I want to mention is that when a patron asks us for a particular title, we will pretty much always buy it unless it's something really off the wall. But
Yeah.
if someone like of a particular political leaning asks us to buy something, we will buy it, or we'll get it on interlibrary loan. We don't censor that.
Yeah, it's not that we're not purchasing the material, it's just the material is not meeting our standards to stay on the shelf.
Yeah.
And when we say standards, it's not our standards. It's a very clear policy that talks about the life cycle of a book.
I imagine
Yeah.
you have records that point to that. So if needed, we could point to this has been available and never borrowed, and so therefore taken out of circulation.
Yeah. But I mean, that's such like a nuanced conversation. We can't have that, it's hard to present that.
That is a nuance.
No, that's
a nuance
that's a specific request, a specific answer, one-on-one conversation. That's not something.
But I'm wondering, like, how do we clearly communicate this? If this is really a concern of a significant portion of the population, it's just a hard one to explain.
Well, it was a smaller part. It was just more intense, those responses. It was a smaller part. Mostly people are pretty comfortable with it,
Suzanne, what do you mean when you say intense? What is that?
The verbiage, the way they were describing it was utilizing more stronger language.
Okay, so specifically the quotes themselves were
more intense,
strong,
rather than just like, we love the library, great.
Got it.
Yeah, I like, or we need more digital books, but if you're going to get something that's a little bit more preachy, or they were more intense, but it was a small percentage. It was a much smaller percentage, but it was there because sometimes an intense person can seem like it's more.
Some of those things I felt were not actually even true, like the pornography in the children's department, and we don't offer one-on-one tech help. Of course we do. Anybody who walks up to the desk is entitled to that. But that's our fault that our patrons don't know that. I was surprised that they were so satisfied with our digital catalog, when that's like the number one thing we hear is the waits are too long. But I guess they're okay with that. Maybe they understand the difficulties of that, which we have tried to explain over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I got one comment and one question. One comment on the political thing is part of it just that the population of books out there kind of may be one way versus another, and to me, if I remember, the number was like 15%. That's, in this day and age, that's probably pretty good. I hate to say it, and secondly, do we have any other comparative surveys of other libraries to see how it is on that and other aspects of how we're doing and perceived?
That's a really good question.
I did a little.
How are we?
I tried to find, like, I looked at what Westport Library had, and then a couple of other, like a few Massachusetts libraries, if they were publicly available. I mean, you do have a very in-person library. So that seems a little bit different than some other libraries. The sheer amount of people that visit the library, and the percentage of people that use it. So that seemed a little bit different. I didn't see much about ideological difference. But again, I gave you the full report,
Right.
that's out there. Just so you know it's out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Any other questions? Well, this is obviously provoked some great discussion. Suzanne, Melissa, Ronaldo, want to thank you, all of you, for joining, for sharing this with us, and for the work you've done. Really appreciate it. This is definitely going to help us with further conversations in terms of how we market them, in terms of how we execute our strategic plan and all that stuff. So this is definitely very helpful. So thank you for all of us here on the board.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for this opportunity. And if you have any questions and you want me to rerun anything, just let me know and I will try and get that information to you.
Will do.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
all.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, with that, we've come to the end of our agenda. We have a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn. I know you guys are waiting on me.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
second that.
All right, all in favor?
Thank you.
All right. With that, we will adjourn our meeting at 8:46 p.m. Our next meeting is on March 9th at the Woods Branch. Andrew, it is at the Woods Branch. Andrew, it is at the Woods Branch. Future Andrew is completely forgotten already, just FYI. So we'll see you all there.